How to use blur gallery or add blur to our images. Now click this layer and press Command and Control J to duplicate it. Let's go to Filter, Blur Gallery, and click off the first one, the fill blur. By default we get this dot which has a blur on it. Make sure the center, the place that we don't want to be blurred, it's 0. Look, here it's blurry and here is on 0. Now click and point a place that we want to be more blurry. For example, here I'm going to add more blur to this area. Also here click, and you can also play around with this, but here with this slider is going to be easy to add blur. Look, now should be gradual. Here it's enough, and here you can add more blur. I'm just thinking about it. Maybe here add a bit of blur to it. So I'm trying to get more attention on the face, and just take a look, guys. Here it's very natural. It's much better than just plain soft image. So what else we can do to this image? In effect panel we have something called bokeh. We can add bokeh to our image. Look on the light range. If we put this white and black on top of each other, we kind of create the bokeh. But before that we have to increase the light bokeh. So I'm just gonna increase it, and I'm gonna play around with the bokeh color. So it's getting much interesting. So I'm just gonna play around with this and see if I can put these two on top of each other to get this kind of very cool effect here. You see? So always play around with this and put this on top of each other to get what you really like. I believe this is cool, and you can play around with this increase of a light bokeh to get more light to your bokeh or not. I mean, this is going to be something that is nice. Now this area, and also I want to get more attention here. Click here, one click, and make this a bit less blurry. So here is 0, here is less blurry. Now the attention is here. Look how maybe we can add more blurrish this area as well. And look how beautifully we just, with the use of fill blur, we created a very cool image. Let's see before and after. Before, after, before, after. And how cool is that? Alright, let's go to another blur gallery which is called iris blur. First, Command Control J to duplicate it so we can compare. Let's go to Filter, Blur Gallery, and click on Iris Blur. By default, we get something like this. This is really good for a kind of face. So I'm clicking on top of this and dragging to the left and right to make it exactly the size of the face. Maybe this one and this one. Now try to make it more blurry. The thing is, we are going to make blurry a background, but with the help of these two, I want to make it gradual. So I'm increasing this. I'm increasing this one as well, and I'm just dragging this. It's gonna be very harsh, but when I put it inside, it's going to be very gradual. The cool thing about it is this handle can be separated. It means if I hold down Alt or Option and click on one of these, I can take that up, and this is going to be very interesting. So I can make it more up, maybe click and drag, maybe put it this point, click and drag to put it here, then click and drag to put it on the chin here. Now we have a very cool selection. Now we can make it less blurry as well. We don't want to be like this, maybe a bit. Now gradually to see which one is very, very realistic. I believe this is very cool. When you're really okay with it, just press OK. And now let's compare this iris blur before and after. See how natural and how easy is that to create a blurry background for your image and for your portrait. So especially for photographers that cannot spend a lot of money on lenses, with 1.2 a blurry background configuration. This is the best option for you guys to use iris blur to blur your portrait images background. Let's go to another example, which is called tilt shift, which is very interesting and very cool. For this one, it's better you guys to do a selection, especially for this couple. Press W on your keyboard, select subject. Let's see if the Photoshop can just select these two couple. Yes, it is. Press Command Control J for now. Now, let's press Command Control J of the background so we keep the original one and we work on this one. Right click on it and make sure you convert it to a smart object. So anytime we can just come back and change the configuration. Now, let's go to filter, blur gallery, and this time tilt shift. The cool thing about tilt shift is if I drag this and just bring it down, guys, I want to put it here. Now, if I put it here, I'm telling it here is going to be very sharp, and this is going to be gradually increasing. So I'm just going to keep it here for now and just put your mouse here to get this sign and drag it up. So I'm telling Photoshop until here, which is the bright, is going to be sharp. Then it's going to be gradually blurry. So here is sharp, and the end of the image till the back is going to be blurry. And just take a look. And let's see before and after. Before, after. Let me just zoom in a bit. Preview, turn off, turn on. See how cool is that? So we just blurred the background. We can increase the blurriness. You see this halo around this 2% is because when you want to do this kind of work and you want to separate the couple, this is what you have to do, guys. I want to turn that off for now. So basically what I do is you have to just right click and for now just rasterize the layer, and I want to just do a selection around this couple. Right click, fill, and content aware. So basically you have to remove these two from this first image so you don't get that kind of halo. You see, with content aware we have something called like this. So make sure you do a proper selection actually, because mine is not really cool. So it should be something like this, and if I come here I can make it better. I can add a mask to it, press B on my keyboard, press X, and just can bring these areas back. So this area, which is very cool, I can just bring it back. Then I can work on it and make a very cool shadow depth of field. So before you start and working on the adding the blur, make sure you do the content error and remove these two from the first image, from the BG or the background image. Then you have this top image, and then you can create a very natural image. So that's a tip and point, so you guys use it. Let's go to another example, which is pass, spin, and blur. So just selected this car, and it was easy actually on top of this. Now right click on this, make sure the background image is on, convert to a smart object, then go to filter, blur gallery, and pass blur. With pass blur, we want to make this car, it's going to be like it's moving. So I can just put my mouse on this point and bring it here. So I'm just telling this is the direction. Now I need to add more direction. Click, and just for here, just you have to double click. And again, click and double click. So this is going to be the car direction. Double click. Now we can increase the speed. If you get this halo again, you have to remove this car from the background again. The same thing that we had to do with the previous one, the couple. But for demonstration now, I'm just gonna show you how the tools work. And for the tapper, it's going to be changing the look of the blurriness. And here go, less or, all right, cool. Now, everything is cool, but the only problem is the tires. We need to add a spin blur to the tires, but that's why we separated the car from the background. Let's press OK now. So it means the background has the movement and has the pass blur. Now cool, let's come to the car that we just separated it, right click on it and convert to a smart object. Now let's go to filter, blur gallery and spin blur. Now this time we get this circle point, which is exactly for tires. Now make sure the size is matching with the tires. We're just gonna come here and play around with this to make it more or less. Click one more time. The same thing with the other tires. It up. Maybe this one. Maybe it up. Cool. Bit more. Cool. When you're okay with it, just preview. Very nice. Press OK. Now take a look at it. Just by use of pass blur and spin blur, we just made this car. It's like a moving car. It's going very fast actually. See how the blur gallery is very useful in Photoshop. Now I want to show you something else actually in this tilt shift area. There is another way to blur the background, but this is the simple way. If you come to filter, blur and click on Gaussian blur, you can do a very normal blur thing to your image. So the Gaussian blur is a normal way of blurring any image in Photoshop, and it's very fast and quick. That's why most of the time people use Gaussian blur for simple images. But for professional way, you have to use fill blur, iris blur, tilt shift, and pass and spin blur in Photoshop. Now you guys know how to use blur gallery. Do a lot of practice because these tools and these filters are very useful in Photoshop and especially in photography.